December 13th of 1862. As the battle was raging around this field here, and men were dying left and right, going across the slaughter pen farm here in Fredericksburg, Virginia, there was a woman dressed like a Zouave out here on this field. And she actually took an injury here as part of the Battle of Fredericksburg. Who was she? Why was she here? Welcome back to History with Waffles. Today, we're crawling across this field here out in the sunlight. This is the slaughter pen farm. This is one of the deadliest places in the Battle of Fredericksburg. We're here to tell a couple of stories. The first one, Maxie Gregg. And the one coming up right after that is going to be about French Mary, a young woman that was out here with the 114th Pennsylvania, giving aid to those men, and who ends up wounded on this field. Stick around. There's a lot of good storytelling coming. So I was looking through an old Civil War book, Time magazine book. I was reading up, trying to get ready and prepared for the Maxie Gregg story out here at Fredericksburg and Slaughter Pen Farm. And I came across this photograph that I'd probably seen a million times over, but it never really crossed my mind to even read the caption beside it. And it was a woman who they had given the title French Mary. And I'd wondered, what exactly was French Mary? Who was she? What had she done? Where had she been? The story itself is not extremely complicated, but it was very curious to me. As a little boy, you look at these books and you're more intrigued by the stories of the soldiers going into battle, and you kind of gloss over those photographs of the civilians that took part in it as well. So I did a little digging, and French Mary got wounded right here at Fredericksburg. Mary was a woman that had married a guy by the name of Bernard. Her last name was, I believe it was Tepe or Tepe, T-E-P-E. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. But during the American Civil War, she would become what is known, or was known, as a Vivandiere. In the Crimean War, the uniforms that you see on the Zouaves essentially is the uniform that would have been used, widely used during the Crimean War. And during the Crimean War, they also had Vivandiere. Essentially, what she would do is she would come out to the field in support of her husband and the unit that he was with, and she would sell products to them, kind of like a quartermaster might have a few things, but it was mostly whiskey and things like that. And while she was there, she would take care of laundry, hem up uniforms, and sometimes go out onto a field like the one we're on right now and give aid to those soldiers. She was almost like a nurse. It was pretty interesting hearing that little tidbit of information about something I knew absolutely nothing about. But what made her so special and so important to the 114th Pennsylvania out here on this field? This is a very expansive battlefield out here at the Slaughter Pen Farm at Fredericksburg. Now the parking lot is right over there where the copse of trees are, basically off in the distance. And across this field, heading in that direction, the woodlot over there, right around that location where the train tracks are, is where Lane's North Carolinians are going to be formed up over here. You're going to have Georgians and Virginians, some South Carolinians from Maxcy Gregg, and Prospect Hill is all back through this way. This is the area that the Union Army is going to attack and attack ferociously without support. They've got thousands and thousands of soldiers over there just kind of idly sitting by that could follow up the attack over here when General Meade ends up pressing and creating a gap over here. But it does not happen. On this field, however, the 114th Pennsylvania is back there beyond the Bowling Green Road, just on the other side there. And at some point during the fight, those men have to forward deploy up into this field. And as a result, people are going to get injured. People are going to get hurt out here. And they're going to need supplies. So French Mary is sitting back there beyond those lines, and she has her whiskey in hand in a cask that's very ornate, and everybody recognizes that cask. And she has supplies on hand. She's kind of dressed like a Zouave herself, and she's going out here into this field. And she is giving supplies to the men that are laying down on these fields out here that are injured. And she's trying to give aid to them. She's nursing them. But she ends up getting hit in the heel herself and shot. As a result, they have to take Mary off the field. So we're out here on the field at another sign at the slaughter pen farm, and again, like I promised, I'm putting some more maps in here from these signs. And of course, this is courtesy of the Civil War Trails and the American Battlefield Trust. Their maps are really good on these signs, so just showing you what they have displayed here so that you can come out and check this out for yourself. You can see the "You Are Here" sign, and just to our rear would be 11th Pennsylvania, 83rd New York, 97th New York, and the 88th Pennsylvania. On this ridge somewhere, there was a lone tree standing, whether it's right here where we are at right now or just off to my left-hand side. But you can see a photo here that they have on the sign with a lone tree just on the ridge where we're at right now. And it's kind of what it would have looked like out here. The fields would have been extremely muddy, hard to traverse, and the Confederate cannons up on that hill are aiming at this tree. They're sighting in their guns so that when the Union soldiers come marching across this field and hit this location, they can make deadly effect of the fire that's happening out here on this field. It's extremely deadly work. Meade is out here pushing his men forward, and on the other hand, General John Gibbons and his division remains in the field behind us. All of this back here. Meade has been told to go forward and take that hill, and he's trying, but that is a hard place to take, especially when you don't have reinforcements to follow you up. So looking from this position that I'm at right now, you can see North Carolinians would be up on the hill in the woods up there. And John Gibbon's men are placed right here in front of me. And this is after George Meade has already had the surge and the breakthrough over here. 11th Pennsylvania, 83rd New York, 97th Pennsylvania, and 88th Pennsylvania, along with the supporting lines of Lisle in 136th, 90th, 26th New York, 12th Massachusetts, and then artillery placed off to our right-hand side here where this little miniature airport is, going in that direction. Well, John Gibbon's men didn't really have much of a chance. They were going uphill into a wooded area against these North Carolinians who were just pouring hot lead straight into them. But they had an opportunity because this gap that was created over here, these soldiers were moving in this direction and pushing the South Carolinians back all the way to a road area over there. And the broken elements of Gregg's brigade were just kind of scrambled around there. At that time, Maxcy Gregg had already taken a bullet to the back. He was down on the field, being carted off. Well, Gibbon's men gets pushed back, and eventually they have to retreat back across this field. As a result of them retreating back across this field, some men are left behind out here on this field. Well, Private George Maynard of the 13th Massachusetts Infantry retreated to that road, and he realized that one of his buddies was left out here on this line. As a result, he decides, under heavy fire, with his Confederates pouring cannon fire and musket fire down on him on this field, that he was going to come back across this line and he was going to pick his pal up and bring him back. And that's exactly what he did. And for his bravery, his heroism, and his actions that day on this field, Private George Maynard of the 13th Massachusetts Infantry would receive the Medal of Honor. Now, just before 2 p.m. out here, General John Gibbons ordered Colonel Adrian Root's men to cross that very railroad right there. Now, we have a map here on the sign that's just directly in front of us, and it tells about the different units that are a part of this advance that's going to happen. It's going to drive those North Carolinians back out into that open field that's just on the other side of those train tracks there. It's the 136th Pennsylvania, the 107th Pennsylvania, the 105th New York, the 16th Maine, the 12th Massachusetts, the 97th New York, the 88th Pennsylvania, and then you have the 94th New York, the 104th New York as well, all coming together to push forward. And the North Carolinians out here at some point in time are actually fighting with clubbed weapons, meaning they are turning their muskets around, holding them up like this and bashing people over the heads with them as they're coming across this field. The Union soldiers are falling like wheat before the reaper, which was the way that was described. And that's kind of amazing considering what we have in front of us here on this field, that description of how those soldiers fell out here. But as the Union soldiers press on, they're trampling on their own men to be able to get across this field and fight. And they get across that track, push those Confederates back. But it is another short-lived victory out here on this field, because A.P. Hill and Thomas, all those men that they have in reserve, they're about to send them forward, and those guys are about to push the men that just took that ground back out of this position. Also, George Gordon Meade over here is going to lose his ground as well, and those men are going to have to fall back reluctantly and cede the ground that they have already won by hard fighting that day. Well, if you've ever wanted to walk down near where the North Carolinians fought those Union soldiers, down to the train tracks there, here we are. There's one of the park signs. The trail wraps around through here where those purple flowers are and goes all the way back off in this direction, but it doesn't quite come down to the train tracks themselves. And here's the railroad cut, and still an active train area out here, so can't really get out there and get on those train tracks without being in some form of danger. But this is pretty neat to be out here and see this position, because when you go looking back in this direction over here, you can actually see how much of an uphill walk this is because you're coming right back down towards the hollow here where the railroad track actually is, and then across the open pastures out there and up towards the hill where the Carolinians are. This is a pretty neat perspective here, and I thought I'd add that to this video so you can get a better understanding of the fight that happened out here at the slaughter pen farm and the location where Max and Greg died. I'm out here at the train tracks in Fredericksburg at the slaughter pen farm. This is one of the goals of the 114th Pennsylvania and the other soldiers coming across this field. Cross over those tracks, get to the other side, meet the enemy headlong, and attack them and take their position. And they're successful in a couple of points. They break over here, part of the line. General Meade has a breakthrough. Then there's a small breakthrough down here against the North Carolinians as they get pushed back in that field. The soldiers are still pushing on, but eventually they're driven back. All across the field out here behind me, this whole area out here is littered with dead and dying men coming across the field. The result of the combat that happens out here is roughly 5,000 Union soldiers and 4,000 Confederate soldiers are eventually casualties of war out here on these fields. It's pretty amazing the carnage that took place in Fredericksburg. But Mary is out here as a civilian, and she's helping. She's helping dress wounds and helping care for these men, bringing whiskey out to them. And as a result of her bravery here on this field, she takes that wound like we said earlier. While she's presented with a silver cup while she is healing, she's also given the Phil Kearny Cross in honor of her heroism and her service to her unit, her devotion. Now remember, we said that she was married earlier before the war. Well, her husband's taken prisoner of war. Later after the war, Mary is remarried to another soldier, and she moves on and has a toy store in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She has a very eclectic life, if you will, and early in the 1900s, according to some of the things I've read, Mary is suffering from that wound pretty badly, and it kind of drives her in a very dark place. Eventually, French Mary takes her own life. But out here on these fields, she's remembered for being the young woman that was so bravely supporting the men in this fight. She was the Vivandiere, French Mary, the heroine of Fredericksburg. Thanks so much for sticking around and watching this video to the end. And if you like it, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. And I hope you click on the next one and give that one a thumbs up too. Either way, leave a comment for us and let us know what we can improve or what you liked about the video. What did you think about the story? You guys are helping us get better and better every day. We hope to see you around on those fields out there. Until next time, this is History with Waffles from Fredericksburg, Virginia.